Stop. Just for a moment. Breathe. Listen. Do you hear that? It's silence, something we've forgotten how to feel. In a world that never shuts up with constant pings, posts, noise, and pressure, most people are not living, they're reacting. I'm Tony Robbins, and today I want to talk to you about the power of stillness. Not as weakness, but as your greatest strength in a world that's addicted to chaos. Because clarity doesn't come from more, it comes from less. Less noise, less rush, less comparison. True power begins when you stop running and start listening, not to the world, but to yourself. Stillness is not weakness. It's the ultimate form of strength because it takes discipline to pause when the world demands constant motion. Most people believe they're making progress simply because they're busy, but activity without alignment is just noise. You can be running 1,000 miles an hour in the wrong direction. The truth is success is not found in the constant hustle. It's found in the ability to stop, breathe, and refocus your energy on what truly matters. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It's about creating space for everything meaningful to rise to the surface. When you step away from the rush and quiet the noise, you begin to notice what's real, your thoughts, your emotions, your vision. That's where transformation begins. In silence, you meet yourself again. You start to see your patterns, the ones that drain you and the ones that empower you. You realize that your worth isn't tied to productivity or performance. It's anchored in presence. You become powerful not by pushing harder, but by becoming centered. When you allow yourself to pause, clarity appears. You no longer react from fear or urgency. You respond from understanding. That's strength. Anyone can move fast. Very few can move wisely. Stillness gives you that wisdom. It turns chaos into clarity, pressure into purpose. When you slow down, your energy becomes intentional. You stop scattering your focus across 100 distractions and start channeling it into what matters most. It's in those moments of pause that leaders are born, decisions become clear, and growth becomes inevitable. The mind that can stay still in chaos is the mind that leads others through it. The world teaches us to chase every opportunity, answer every call, and never stop grinding. But true power lies in knowing when to stop, when to listen, when to breathe. The one who can be still while everyone else panics becomes the one who decides what happens next. Now let's talk about the noise. Because the world is designed to keep you distracted. Every ping, every scroll, every headline is fighting for your attention. And attention is the most valuable currency in the modern world. Whoever controls your focus controls your future. The challenge is most people don't even realize they've handed that control away. They wake up reaching for their phones, spend their days reacting to other people's agendas, and go to bed wondering why they feel empty. The noise has become normal, constant updates, endless comparison, perpetual urgency. But the more you consume it, the more disconnected you become from your own voice. The truth is, the system doesn't want you calm. It wants you anxious, reactive, predictable. Because a distracted mind is an easy mind to control. The path to freedom begins when you reclaim your attention. You must protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. When you silence the noise, you rediscover your own direction. When you guard your focus, you take back your power. And in that silence, clarity returns, and with clarity, you become unstoppable. When you learn to be still, you begin to hear the voice that truly matters, the one inside you. That voice doesn't yell, it whispers. It doesn't demand attention, it invites awareness. But you can't hear it when you're buried under notifications, stress, or self-doubt. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from external noise. They come from the quiet conversations you have with yourself when the world goes silent. In those moments, you discover truth. What you actually want, what's draining your energy, what you've been avoiding. You realize that you've been so busy chasing validation from others that you've forgotten to validate yourself. Stillness helps you remember who you are before the world told you who to be. It reconnects you with your values, your intuition, your deepest desires. You stop living on autopilot and start making conscious choices again. You see, clarity doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from having the courage to ask yourself the right questions. When you quiet your mind, those answers begin to rise naturally. Most people live in reaction. They respond to circumstances, expectations, crises, everything outside them. But when you connect with your inner voice, you stop reacting and start creating. You start leading instead of following. You become intentional instead of impulsive. And that's when power returns, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that gives you control over your state, your focus, your destiny. Every great leader, every visionary, every creator has learned the art of listening to themselves before listening to the crowd. Because when your inner voice is strong, no amount of outer noise can shake you. And that brings us to the next truth. In a world obsessed with speed, slowing down is revolutionary. We've been conditioned to believe that more, faster, louder equals better. But sometimes progress looks like pausing. Growth looks like resting. Strength looks like stepping back to realign your energy. The world will try to convince you that if you're not hustling, you're falling behind, but that's a lie. Rest is not weakness. It's the reset that allows you to rise stronger. Think about it. You don't grow a muscle while lifting the weight. You grow it in recovery. The same is true for your mind, your purpose, your life. Stillness allows integration. It turns knowledge into wisdom. It gives space for reflection, and reflection fuels transformation. When you pause, you gain perspective. You begin to see patterns, lessons, and opportunities that were invisible in motion. Slowing down doesn't mean losing momentum. It means ensuring your momentum is moving in the right direction. Most burnout happens not because people stop working, but because they never stop thinking, never stop chasing, never stop proving. The pause is where alignment happens. When you slow down, you stop being driven by pressure and start being guided by purpose. You shift from chaos to clarity, from exhaustion to empowerment. In that stillness, you don't lose your edge. You sharpen it. Silence is not empty. It's full of answers. When you give yourself permission to disconnect from constant noise, you begin to reconnect with something infinitely powerful: awareness. Most people go through life unaware of what truly drives them. They wake up, check their phones, scroll through opinions, compare themselves, react, and repeat, all while forgetting to actually live. But awareness is the foundation of transformation. You can't change what you're not aware of. Stillness helps you see yourself clearly, your patterns, your fears, your habits, your triggers. It reveals how often you move not from purpose, but from pressure. It shows you where your energy leaks and what's keeping you stuck. In silence, you stop numbing yourself with business and start confronting the truth that demands your growth. Awareness creates choice. Once you're aware, you can decide. You can choose to stop running from pain and start learning from it. You can choose to redirect your focus from what's missing to what's possible. In stillness, you gain the perspective to shift from victim to creator. You start asking, what does this moment require of me? Rather than, why is this happening to me? That's how you reclaim your power. Most breakthroughs aren't loud. They happen in quiet realizations, moments when you finally see your own patterns clearly and choose differently. Awareness is the bridge between reaction and response, between chaos and creation. And then comes gratitude, the most transformative force in the human experience. Gratitude turns what you have into enough and what you are into abundance. When you slow down and reflect, you begin to see how much beauty already surrounds you. In the noise, gratitude gets drowned out by comparison, but in stillness, it returns like sunlight breaking through clouds. Gratitude is not passive. It's an active state of strength. It's saying, even in the storm, I will find something good. When you practice gratitude, you shift your focus from lack to love, from frustration to fulfillment. That shift in focus changes your entire emotional state. Gratitude in stillness deepens perspective. You stop chasing happiness as a future destination and begin experiencing it as a present reality. The mind that's grateful is not anxious. The heart that's thankful is not bitter. When you're grateful, fear loses its grip because you're no longer focused on what you might lose. You're anchored in what you already have. Gratitude is the energy that magnetizes more good into your life because you're operating from fullness, not scarcity. And when you move from that place, you inspire others to do the same. The combination of awareness and gratitude is a quiet revolution. Awareness shows you what needs to change. Gratitude gives you the strength to change it. Awareness wakes you up. Gratitude lifts you up. Together, they turn silence into a sanctuary. A place where transformation begins not by adding more noise, but by removing the distractions that keep you from hearing your own power. Stillness teaches you the art of presence, the ability to be fully here, not trapped in the past or anxious about the future. Most people are physically present but mentally elsewhere. They're replaying old failures or fast-forwarding into fears that haven't even happened yet. But power only exists in the present. The moment you anchor yourself and now everything changes. You start seeing life with clarity instead of confusion. You begin responding instead of reacting. You stop fighting what is and start working with it. Presence is not about